Please go ahead.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, well, look, I mean, if you look at the revenue that we're generating right now, $2.5 trillion. If you cut everything except entitlements and defense spending, we'd still be in the hole. That would include cutting interest. We'd still be in the red, $300 billion. So you're going to have to make some cuts somewhere along the line. And what I've said is with these foreign bases is let's decide if they're defense. Are they really defense? Are they defending us? And if they are, then sure, keep them. Because I also believe in a strong national defense. But I don't believe in wasting money, and then especially at a time when the real existential threat to the United States is our financial situation. So I just want to make one other point, too. There's a whole bunch of things going on in this last discussion, but this appease oil producers, I have no idea where that comes from. We have all sorts of friends and allies in the Middle East. We're friends with Saudi Arabia. We're friends with Egypt. We're friends with Kuwait, Qatar. We're friends with Turkey. We're friends with Jordan. These are all, allies of ours and friends of ours. So I don't really know which country we're talking about, but I say that we trade with people and make that our foreign policy.
Let me throw a left field one at you here, both of you. I'll start with you, John. When California goes to Washington begging bailout, and we will, would you vote for that?
No. Absolutely not. We have got to have fiscal discipline across the board. We have deferred this problem as it is, and the longer we put it off, is the longer it's going to last. The objective here is to protect the rights of people. That's what government's job is. It is not to go bailing out countries or states or anything else. We are going to have a disastrous situation in the near future, and we are only deferring it if we continue with this bailout stuff.
Dana? I agree 100%. But I did want to mention something. He asked where I got this idea, and quite frankly, John's theory is that we don't need energy independence. And, that's something we could talk about as far as California's role in that, but that we don't need energy independence. We just have to be friendly to oil-producing countries. And again, I just think that's a very misguided policy. The 5 countries that have 85% of the oil are Venezuela, Russia, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, and Iran. They're all very difficult for us to count on. And I think it's very important that we become energy independent and we stop acting as though we don't have to be.
60% of our energy comes from North America, and it's a worldwide market. So it's a fungible product. And as far as energy independence is concerned, it's a fallacious economic theory called autarky, which means that you're trying to find dependence, whether it's energy or anything else. If economic independence was viable, then North Korea would be the richest country in the world. We have to trade for the things that we need. And incidentally, energy independence is also it's just a fantasy. Windmills, for example, are produced using something called rare earth. Right? Rare earth comes from 95 to 100% of it comes from China. This whole business of energy independence has been a ruse by the federal government to subsidize the Al Gore programs of the world. Yeah. And they constantly have been pushing this on us since Nixon and so on. It's a fantasy. It won't work. And what we've gotten for it is all this subsidized energy that is not going to ever be viable.
Yeah, we subsidize wind to the tune of like $25 a megawatt.
And I think wind is silly. I think
it's all silly. Solar is silly. The whole thing is silly. Yeah. I mean, subsidizing it is silly.
But again, when it comes to trade, I mean, certainly we would like to have our trade balance more in order. So again, I think it's far more important that we try to become energy independent because it will give us very good, high-paying jobs here. So I think we have to do drilling, despite what's going on in the coast, in that unfortunate BP incident. The bottom line is, it's strangely enough that it's not causing the havoc they thought it would, which has everybody sort of confused about that. But there are ways of slant drilling, and there are ways of doing these things more environmentally safely, and the fact that we have to look into nuclear power, and that's something we can do here, and again, get those high-paying jobs here, because trading is something that we're out of balance on.
All right, we will continue. We're talking with Dana Walsh and John Dennis, both vying for Nancy Pelosi's job. We'll open the phones for your questions, 808-5600, 808-5600. You tell them what's important to you and put them on the spot and see how they address what is important to you. I'm in for the Babe in a bunker. Mark Williams in the bunker for the Babe, Barbara Simpson. We continue 520 at Hot Talk 560 KSFO. It's 5:24, 24 past 5 o'clock. Hot Talk 560 KSFO. I'm Mark Williams in the bunker for the Babe. Barbara Simpson has the day off. Just less than a week from today, the 22nd, in Fairfield, the big Northern California Regional Tea Party. Go to napateaparty.com. Follow me online, marktalk.com. You'll find the Supreme Court nominee's college thesis on there. It will stay up there until the lawyers at Princeton make me take it down, probably sometime tomorrow. But in it, she laments the failure of socialism and communism to dominate the United States in the early part of the 20th century. You'll be shocked. It's at marktalk.com. I've got in studio John Dennis and Dana Walsh. They're both vying for Nancy Pelosi's seat, and there are a few flashpoints between the two of you. But I'll start with you on this one, John. What would be the biggest flashpoint between you and Dana? I mean, what's the biggest difference as you see it?
Well, I think my viability as a candidate. Dana doesn't live in the district. She can't vote for herself. She has not. She ran in 2008 and got 9.5% of the vote. And we've done a little research, and we found that is the worst performance for a Republican congressional candidate, the Republican nominee, since they kept records back in 1864. So I think the voting public has spoken about her candidacy. Already, the World Net Daily poll shows that we're polling at 22% against Nancy Pelosi. So the Republicans have a choice. They can either do what we did before with Dana, which didn't turn out very well, or they can go with a candidate that actually has viability against Nancy Pelosi, and we can have an exciting summer and a thrilling fall.
Yeah, Dana, I mean, Cindy Sheehan got more votes than you last time out. I mean,
she did. And the interesting thing is that John's in the camp with many of the Cindy Sheehan supporters, and that's something that is probably...
That's news to me.
Well, check out John Dennis Exposed, because we have your main guy. So I would just like to say that John conveniently forgets a couple things about the 2008 election. There were three candidates, so obviously you'd have less of a percentage. But also, I don't think he should talk about the 2008 election because he ran for Republican Central Committee, the SFGOP, and he came in dead last, 37 of 37 candidates. I've been elected 7 times. So, but my bigger flashpoint with John is the people behind him and these people he's reaching out to, because I think it's not very appropriate, and I think it's really important that Republicans that are voting in the primary, San Francisco Republicans who know what their values are, really look into what John has been saying and what his positions are, because I think they'll think twice about this.
Pick one that would cause us to open our mouths aghast. I mean, what would be a big one?
Well, I think our military base is being unconstitutional because he's gone back on a lot of the original statements he said because we've really pushed him on it. But if you think something's unconstitutional and then change to, gee, we want to talk about the financial viability of them, it's two different things. He also is against the Patriot Act, which I think many Republicans in San Francisco are for. And, you're not a Republican in San Francisco unless you're pretty darn clear on your beliefs. And I do think it's very odd when John talks about things like surprise endorsements that he won't bring out till after the primary, and that he'll make his positions clearly stated after the primary. I just think that's very upsetting. And we have him actually saying those things. So, you can deny them, John, but you're on film saying those things.
Which things?
You're saying that you have surprise endorsements. You're saying that you will come out clearly on your positions I
never said that. That's
yes,
nowhere.
You did.
That is nowhere.
Check your own site or mine.
Yeah, well, there's nowhere where I said my positions. I'll make them clear. My positions are crystal clear.
You said I'll be clear on that after the.
I have done 100 radio shows around this country. I've been on TV a half dozen times. I've had articles written about me. My positions are crystal clear. I'm not running from anything. All of these things. I've had every single officer in the Republican Central Committee. All of them know us both. 7 of them have endorsed me. None of them endorsed Dana, and they know her for a long time. Tony Ribeiro, the former police chief of San Francisco, has endorsed me. He was a detective. If there was something odd about me, I think he would have detected it. The truth of the matter is that all of this stuff, all of it is a diversion. All of these accusations, this nonsense, this smear by association by Dana, is all a smokescreen and a tactic to take your attention away from the fact that she doesn't live in the district, can't